Naive fools like me were starting to feel real optimistic after the writer's strike was done that maybe we could get a quick resolution to the actor's strike. Well, that ain't happening because it looks like the two have never been further apart. And that happens to be the topic of today's Mint Mobile hotline question of the day. Listen, guys, if you've got a question for the show and like to hear your voice on our show, go ahead and call our Mint Mobile hotline anytime, 24 hours a day at 951-268-4259. Every day we pick out one or two questions to address, and today's is about the status of the actor strike. Check it out.
Hey, John and crew. This is Kenyon again from Columbia, South Carolina. I just got an alert on my phone this morning from the New York Times that the talks between the studios and the actors have collapsed, just saying that they're still far apart on key issues. I'm just wondering what happened if the writers just ratified a new 3-year contract on Monday and the Actors Guild usually follows suit in negotiations according to the trends that we've seen. What happened, and do you think we can get this back on track? Thanks, and bring on the filthy.
All right, Kenyon, thanks a lot for sending that in. And bewildered, disillusioned, and feeling kind of hopeless. That's what I, as a film fan, am kind of feeling right now. Because I have gone from feeling like this thing's going to get wrapped up real soon to I don't see the finish line. Like that's how bad I think it is right now. I simply do not see the finish line. I no longer believe, like I thought any minute now this is going to end. I no longer believe there's any hope this is going to be done before 2024. Now, not that anybody's told me that. I'm just saying that's how I'm feeling. Okay. I'm hurting. Stress eating over here.
Same, buddy. Same.
And here's the thing. Now, like you said, man, I agree. It felt like when the writers got a deal that maybe a template could be laid out and some momentum. And for a while, it looked like that's what was happening, right? A lot of momentum started happening. The writers, or sorry, I should say the actors and the studios were meeting, if not every day, they were meeting every other day. It seemed like everybody was committed to getting in the room and talking, hanging out issues. It sounded like they might be getting a little bit closer and a little bit closer and stuff like that. Now, the key thing to remember here, though, is that there are many similarities between a lot of the stuff that the writers were looking for and stuff that the actors are looking for. And so there, I'm sure a lot of progress has been made because the writers already got a deal. But there are a couple of areas of stark difference between, by nature, what it is the writers were wanting and needing and what the actors are wanting and needing, right? AI has been an issue for both, but the implications of AI on writers is different than what the implication of AI can be on the actors. Also, there's the issue of residuals. Now, why they did create and establish a model for residuals for the writers, I remember we said on this show, I don't know that model they came up with is going to be one that works for the actors. So that may become a bit of a sticking point. And sure enough, from everybody I've talked to at any rate, and I'm not in the room, okay? So everybody knows I'm not in the room where it happened. So, but from what it appears to be, and from all the people I've spoken to, it really comes down to two issues. And I don't see either side budging on either one of the issues. And quite frankly, I think each side has taken an issue and is acting like complete fucking jackasses. Let's start with the jackasses at the AMPTP, shall we? It's great that they were able to come to some understanding with the writers about AI. But the existential threat to actors that AI represents is different than the threat it represented to writers. They needed entirely new solutions for that. Because as of right now, if this is what the studios want basically. They want to hire an actor to come on to a show for a day and say, oh, but by the way, by being on our show, we have in perpetuity rights to your likeness. We can redigitize the sound of your voice, and we can use it in any and all other media we ever want to do. Now, if we're talking about using the character, like your character is going to be, made into an animated character on a video game or something like that, there's some discussion to be had there. But I mean, literally, did Henry Cavill get paid for his appearance in The Flash? I don't know the answer to that. I'm willing to bet you he didn't, though. Did Christopher Reeve's estate get any payment for Christopher Reeves popping up and showing up in Flash? Maybe they did, and I just don't know about it. I'm not saying it's impossible that they did, but I'm willing to bet they didn't. And that is just a microcosm of what the studios want. They want to be able to go, hey, we'll just use, like, we'll make one movie with Ryan Gosling called The Attack of the Butt Sniffers. We'll make one, right? Ryan Gosling will be a big hit in it. But you know what? Why pay Ryan Gosling $10 million again for the sequel? We'll just use the digital image and make it. That may seem impossible today, but that day's coming that they could do it. And the actors, rightly so, are drawing a line in the sand and saying, no. And it is, look, I get the deep down desire, if you're the studio, to want to have that arrangement, just like I understand the deep down desire to rob a bank. But it is completely asinine of what it is the studios are asking for. Look, the studios are going to need to have some protections, yes, to be able to use a likeness here or there for some little thing here, I get it. There's negotiations to be had there, whatever. But this blanket thing of we want to be able to use the digital imagery of an actor, no, that's just stupid. It's just stupid, and they need to take it off the table. And I don't think they will. I think they got their heels so dug in on this AI thing, I don't think they are going to budge. At least not until it really hurts. And until that gets done, there's not going to be an actor's deal. So that's the one thing. Then the second issue that's different is the issue of, it doesn't even feel right to call it residuals, because what the writers got isn't really a residual, it's a bonus.
It's bonus.
Yeah.
And what they're really negotiating, and I get it because the model of residuals doesn't apply to the world of streaming. So what they're trying to come up as a replacement for residuals with the actors is going to look completely different. But man, things took a turn for the stupid the other night. And I'm going to read this from NBC News. And I'll set up the quote here. Basically, the studios, as has been going on, offer, counteroffer. They've been trying to get together closer on things. Well, I guess the studios put together a proposal that was something that looked like the writer's deal in what they called a success-based bonus system, right? And then the actors came back with something so profoundly idiotic and offensive. I just don't blame the studio for walking away from the table. And that's what they did. The studios got up and walked away. They said, look, we can't even talk to you if you're going to do this. So this comes to us from NBC News. The union president, Fran Drescher, said, it really came as a shock to me because what exactly does that mean, getting up and suspending negotiations? And why would you walk away from the table? It's not like we're asking you for anything that's so outrageous. Yes, they were. Let's just be clear about that. Yes, they were. It's so wrong and it's so unfair that they walked out of the meeting and so disrespectful. When I was there, they talk at you. They don't really want to hear what you have to say or what you're saying. The AMPTP did not immediately respond to NBC News, a request for comment. The alliance represents NBC Universal, the parent company of NBC News. They're making that clear. Just hours before Drescher spoke out, Netflix CEO Ted Sarandos, who is kind of everybody on both sides acknowledged might be one of the main problems of this whole situation, is Ted. Anyway, Netflix CEO Ted Sarandos addressed the stalled talks at the Bloomberg Screen Time conference in California. This is what he said. He said, we had very productive talks going, and then what kind of happened last night, they introduced this levy on subscribers. It just felt like a bridge too far to add this deep into the negotiations. All right. So for those of you who didn't know what the basic premise on the table was, SAG introduced this idea that all streamers should pay tribute to SAG by giving them 57 cents for every subscriber that they have. In as asinine as I think the studios are being in the AI situation, I think it's equally as asinine that they came to this, because Fran Drescher said, I'm just going to repeat something that she already wrote here. It's not like we're asking for anything outrageous. It's so wrong, it's so fair. They walked out of the meeting. It's so disrespectful. I'll tell you what, if I was in that room, if I was a streamer and they brought that in this late in the game, not only would I have suspended, I would have thrown over the table and I would have spit in her face. Because when you bring something like that in this late, that tells me you don't want the negotiations to work. And you know what? Maybe they don't. Maybe there's a higher level strategy behind the scenes here, which we're going to find out if that plays out later on, that may be beneficial. Who knows? But like when you're going back and forth, and you come to the studios and we're talking about the streamers who have spent years risking tens of billions of dollars, desperately trying to grow these things, all of which none have been profitable except for Ted's. But that took Ted's company, Netflix, over a decade to become profitable. They were losing billions every year for year after year. And then you come to the table with something that you know full goddamn well is a non-starter and saying, you're going to pay us a cut of every subscriber that you have. Fuck you. No chance in hell. And Fran Drescher, as much as we tease her demeanor and how she words things sometimes, she ain't stupid. You don't become president of SAG by being dumb. Yeah, we joke and laugh about her, her quirkiness, yes, but she's not dumb. She knew very well that bringing something that preposterous to the table this late in the game, after you've been talking for a couple of weeks and making progress, and all of a sudden, oh, by the way, I want to sleep with your mother.
She's taken.
She knew she's taken. She knew goddamn well that was going to be a non-star. And then to clutch her pearls and act all surprised. What? They walked away. First of all, SAG should have walked away with the studios not budging on the AS stuff, because that's a no-go. Like that bullshit's got to stop. So they should have walked away themselves. But don't act all surprised when you come into the room and say, oh yeah, give me a cut, and that they walk away. Of course they walked away. You knew they were going to walk away. So you could get on camera and say, I'm just so shocked that they walked away. Of course they walked away. You knew they were going to walk away. Any rational person would have walked away. Because as Ted said, who is probably the biggest problem in this entire negotiation is Ted. So when the guy who's the biggest problem is saying the thing that kind of makes sense, that's a bad thing. When he says that was a bridge too far, like there's no point in talking to you if you're going to come in weeks into these negotiations as we're all trying to make progress together and you're going to drop that on the table. So you got these two issues, the AI thing, which there is no way in hell this SAG should ever compromise on. And you got this, I can't even call it a residual thing because it's not a residual, but we'll just say the back end finances. The back end finances situation, which doesn't look like anybody's going to move. And I got to tell you, my optimism has been replaced by complete and utter skepticism. I no longer believe this is going to get done anytime soon. Anytime soon. This isn't going to happen. Guys, we want to take a second to thank a sponsor of this video, Vessi. Now, you guys know I'm not exactly the most fashion conscious guy in the world, but I love a great pair of shoes that are comfortable and I can wear almost anywhere. And growing up in Canadian winters when my feet got wet a lot, waterproof would be nice too. Enter Vessi. They make the claim that they're not just fashionable and super comfortable, they're also waterproof. Now, you guys remember, when I got my first pair of Vessis, I put them to the ultimate waterproof test. I actually stuck my foot in my pool, my feet stayed dry, and the shoes stayed dry. Incredible. And they're the most comfortable pair of shoes I ever owned. Well, that made me want another pair. So I got another pair of Vessis that look great and just equal that world-class comfort that I got from that first pair of shoes. They are absolutely my favorite shoes that I've ever owned. Imagine your favorite sneaker style supercharged with waterproof technology and unmatched comfort. No matter how you like to stay active, Vessi has the shoes for you. Trail-ready high tops, effortless slip-ons, and classic court shoes, all with a waterproof twist. They are just as comfortable and stylish as your favorite sneakers, but even more versatile. So guys, if you're anything like me and you want the most comfortable pair of shoes that look great, that you can take out hiking, wear to work, go to the gym, or walk through the water and snow, go to vessi.com/Campea and get yourself a pair today. Go to vessi.com/Campea and get 15% off your order using the code Campea. So Chris, give me a reason to feel hopeful here, because right now, I'm not Santa Claus handing out the hope baskets. I'm feeling pretty dark. I'm feeling pretty negative
right now, man.
Is this a temporary spat that they're actually going to be able to work through in the coming weeks, or I don't know. What do you think?
I really think so. Everyone in the WGA keeps cheering us on in SAG, saying, "Hey, this is what happened to us. They stonewalled us, and a month later, we finally got to have actual, real negotiations." When we came back to that table a second time, just like you guys, they didn't give us anything. They weaponized what we were saying. And we held fast, and we want you guys to do the same. We'll still be on the picket lines with you. To be clear, for anyone who wanted to join picketing today, that has been canceled just because most counties and everything, because of everything with Hamas, I don't want to get political or anything, but people are being urged to not take to the streets today because they have urged people to take to the streets. So
Right.
don't do that. Here's the thing. Under 57 cents per subscriber, with Teddy Boy telling me that me and my ilk are putting a levy on his subscribers. It doesn't really sit too well with me because he's just a little guy. He's just a little guy.
Let's be clear. That is a shady son of a bitch right there.
Yeah.
Ted is a shady son of a bitch.
So many of the problems have been because of Netflix and Amazon.
Can I
Yes,
just
they
say,
really
it looks
have.
like he's been squeezed in that box Loki tortured X5 with.
So I can understand why someone might see that as highway robbery, but 57 cents per subscriber, under 57 cents per subscriber, then divvied out between us based on how involved we are in something, our own negotiations, everything. It's not like each of us gets that per subscriber. That then gets divvied out for all of us.
If I understood it right, the payment under the proposal would literally be a check cut to SAG itself.
That's what I thought.
And then SAG itself
And then
would distribute
SAG
it.
distributes all of the
distribute
money.
it, yeah.
We have to figure out a way to do the residuals. We really just do, because we're part of this process. And there's a way to do it. And if you don't like this way, counter it. Counter it. Don't walk away and then go tell the trades, which you own, how SAG's being ridiculous and SAG is doing this and conflating the number we asked for initially by 60%. That's not okay. If you want to have a discussion, have a discussion. And maybe this is why I like a negotiation. I love them. People get awkward about them. I think it's fun to just be like, tell me what's fair and reasonable. Let's go. Let's figure this out together. Especially compounded with all of the AI stuff here. That is truly outrageous of like, no, you should sign a waiver that says we own your likeness in perpetuity. Because
So
that's
ridiculous.
bananas.
So ridiculous.
This is something, though, that I feel like we really can come together on because, and I know a lot of people are going to roll their eyes at this, but it is a risk for an actor every time you take a project. Every single time, because we have so little control. So when I agree to go do something, I do not know what the finished product is going to look like. I don't know how much I'm in that finished product or if I'm in it at all. And when I've done that, I've also turned down other roles that I physically could not go to or that were in conflict with what I was doing.
Let me play devil's advocate for a second, though. Can't you
Oh, I
say
know
the
you will.
same of anybody working in any trade, that by taking this job, I can't take that other job? By taking this job, I don't know what the end result's going to be. I'm just being paid to bring my skills to it for the day, and I'm going to get paid a rate. Like,
So if you work at a job and then they let you go or something like that, right, and it doesn't work out between you, you still get to have that job on your resume. Which technically, because I've booked something, I can do that. I booked the job. But I have nothing to show for it if they cut all of my footage. I can't go, oh, hey, here, an actual example is I was in a Star Wars commercial that I got cut out of. And while that was great to tell people I booked the Star Wars commercial, I had nothing to show for it. So it meant absolutely nothing in my career of like, yeah, this casting company likes me, but they cut me for time. When you're in
did you still get paid?
I still got paid for my day.
That's not a rhetorical question.
No.
I'm just wondering.
I got paid for the day.
Okay.
I had to join my union because I was a must join at that point. I got no residuals ever because I was cut from it. So it was a very, very bad day to be a Chris Carr because I got my day player rate and nothing else. And I saw that commercial play every day, multiple times a day, and it broke my heart. But that's also part of this business, right? But I also couldn't tell people, hey, but you got to trust me. I was really great in that Star Wars commercial that I got cut from.
As far as like opportunities for being recast, because you have no one saying, I loved her in that. She'd be great for this.
Exactly.
So
we're like my eHarmony commercial. It was so easy to pitch me for stuff where it was, oh yeah, she's the lead in this commercial. Look at her play 3 ages. There we go. It's different because I have to show my work in a very different way than some other careers. Not all careers, but some. So that's part of this issue here too. I understand being heated about this. I have a very personal vetted interest in this. Being a voice actor, I've been very fortunate because the terms are different for auditioning for television, animation, video games for now at least.
You have stresses coming at you on both sides right now because there's the acting with the studios strike and there's a looming video game strike as well at the same time.
And so I've got a commercial at the end of the month and I did an audiobook thing earlier and I'm just hoping that I can stay the course. I do think cooler heads need to prevail here. I understand everyone getting heated, but I think too, if we listen to Duncan Crabtree Ireland, who has been the chief negotiator for SAG, he is, Fran's great. Fran's very passionate. Duncan, I think, does a really great job of breaking things down in that cooler head manner though too of, listen, here are the things that we need to come to terms on. And it's really a shame that they walked away from this table. And I really hope we get back to that table because we need to sort these things out, especially when the AMPTP keeps saying things like, it's all about getting people back to work. Well, then don't walk away, Ted and company.
Well, I mean, look, I've got a bit of a personal thing on that too. There was, I won't say which company, I won't say which year, but I remember I was in a negotiation with a talent to bring a talent over, and it was going pretty well. And we were getting right close to the finish, like so close to the finish line. We were starting to make arrangements and all that kind of stuff. And at the 11th hour, they came to me and said they also wanted a car. And I just remember going, you didn't mention this 3 weeks ago. You purposefully just held on to that now because you might think it's too late for us to break these negotiations and we're going to have to go for it. No. And I shocked them by saying, we're done. We're just completely done. Now, eventually we got some stuff worked out, but I just remember somebody like through all that. Cause to me, like I look at that thing, like, look, offer, counteroffer, 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 but asking for some kind of cut or levy on subscribers on the streaming service, they had to know that was completely unreasonable.
Yeah.
Like that was unreasonable.
We haven't had a wage increase since 1988.
And that needs to change.
Yeah.
Like I look at the day rates sometimes of like a lot of like this, we're not talking about movie stars. We're talking about the daily actors and the day rates that they're making. And when I see that in some circumstances, somebody working at Arby's is making more on their day than an actor is. That's got to change. I mean, like that fundamentally has to change.
Arby's is pretty good, man.
But Arby's is pretty good.
They got the meats,
no dissing on Arby's by any stretch of the make. They do have the meats.
That Star Wars commercial, my day rate, after I paid my manager, my agent, and my taxes, I could not pay an LA power bill with it. It's not enough. It's just not enough. I worked for less than minimum wage.
Yeah, and that's fundamentally got. There's so much on the table. I hope you're right. I hope some kind of. But I
this
just
is
don't see a
also
lot of
why,
hope
though.
here.
Remember how I was like, I got a friend at Disney, and they're saying they're prepping for show. They were like, Chris, I don't know what's happening. Like, we're still prepping like this is starting.
No, and actually, I think that Zaslav and Iger are going to have a talk with Sarandos because they have been pushing ahead on these talks with. They got it through with WGA. I think they're going to come back to the drawing board. I don't think that Iger and Zaslav are going to sit down for this.
No, I mean they're also not going to.
They're not going to agree.
Please do it.
No,
they're not going to agree to that. But they're going to say, yeah, but we can't suspend talks.
I just hope that because I mean those two issues, the whatever residuals will look like, and the AI issue. I mean these are. What's the word I'm looking for? These are deal breaker issues.
Yeah.
I think both of those issues are deal breaker
Sure.
issues, and I just have no hope anymore, Chris. I don't believe Deadpool 3 is coming out till 2028.
No. I mean, maybe, but no.
Hey guys, thanks so much for watching this video. Make sure you like the video, leave a comment, and subscribe to our channel. And don't forget, we have a daily podcast called the John Campea Show podcast, available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or your favorite podcasting app of choice. Go and subscribe to it today so it'll be there when you need it.